What I'll do in this section is show you some of my work, and I'll tell you some stories about how those graphics came about. So this one's based off the California flag. It's watercolor and pencil. A lot of times if you do a design that's received well, the next season you'll be asked to make an update. Here's the same concept, but more of a pinline style. And here's the same idea, but it's been reverse printed, which means it's been screen printed on the inside of the shirt. And when you print that way, you automatically get a really nice texture effect. And here's how it looks white ink on a black shirt. And here's a Marlin sketch done with a pigment liner style of pen. Here's another way to do a Marlin drawing. This one's a 3-color design. This one was done partially on paper, then it was brought into the computer and finished off with a drawing tablet. And here's a sailfish design I did. Another designer designed the type, and then I added in the sailfish, and then also added some texture to blend the two styles together. Here's some hand-drawn elements. These ended up in a woven shirt and also a t-shirt design. Here's an old Ford Bronco design I did for Locomotion. You'll see the surfboard stack on top of the truck, and there's also some lettering in the shadow. And if you look close, there's some plastisol ink cracking. This was added in as a texture in the computer to simulate old, worn, and washed ink. So I got this idea from just walking down the street in Hawaii. I saw this Ford Bronco parked on the side of the road, and I saw the surfboard racks on top, and I thought, you know, that might make a really good t-shirt design. You can see here I manipulated the photo, added in a surfboard stack on top of the truck, and changed the license plate. Here's another Bronco with some surfboards on top. Both of these photos were taken with a cell phone camera, which just goes to show you, you don't necessarily need a high-end camera to take photos for your t-shirts. A fancy camera can help, but you don't necessarily need one. Here's some guys I saw down at San Onofre pushing an old truck with some surfboards in the back. I just photoshopped out the guys and added a halftone texture to it. And I took this photo using a water housing in Australia. And here's how it looks turned into a t-shirt design. Here's another photo I took with my water housing in California. And then I combined it up with the blue watercolor background and then a logo design on top. And this was out on the south shore of Maui. You can see the canoe paddlers in the background. There's a palm tree. And just took that photo into Photoshop, added some palm leaves on the top left, and then added a distressed border all the way around it. Here's a photo I took out in Santa Cruz at a surf spot called Pleasure Point. And I really liked the bicycle with a surfboard rack on it. So I just took that bike, hand drew over it, added some lettering, and turned it into a t-shirt design. Bali is such a good place for inspiration. Here's a stone carved statue and some wood carved doors in the background. If you ever get a chance to go, you should also go check out the Deus Ex Machina Surf and Motorcycle Shop. Such a great place for inspiration. They have a lot of art up on the walls. They've got surfboards, they've got clothing, they've got motorcycles. And these surfboards make for excellent color, pattern, and texture inspiration. There's some really good type inspiration up on the wall. And this is in the motorcycle shop. These are spray paint stencils on some wooden boxes, but I think these spray paint stencils would also make for a good t-shirt design. When I'm designing graphics, I usually start with really small thumbnail sketches. So then I scan it in and blow it up to a larger size, and then draw over it and refine it. And here I added some texture and some shading, and here's what it looks like in the final design. Here's some type I did for Billabong, here's more type I did for Billabong, and more type I did for Billabong. The best way to improve your designs is just to practice and try to make things in different styles. Color things differently, draw them differently, with different techniques, different pencils, paint brushes. You can use a drawing tablet, you can use spray paint, you can use ink, you can use almost anything that you can scan back in or take a photo of to get it back into the computer. Here's a hand-drawn sketch for an O'Neill logo, and here I've added some texture, and this is what it looks like as a t-shirt design. Here's something I did for my company. I took a really clean vector lettering design, printed it out, and then smeared the ink. That's one thing you can do with your clean vector designs, is print them out, mess them up, add some texture, draw over them. Then I scanned it back in, added some halftone texture, and then finished it off with a red to black gradient. Another good way to add some texture to a really clean vector logo is to send out that design and get a stamp made, and then just make ink stamps and you have some instant texture. Here's a type design I did for O'Neill called Chopsticks, and it has 2 orange bars weaving in and out of the type with some shading. If you're interested in that kind of type design, check out my typographic logos workshop. You can find that on raydombrowski.com. Here's another way to do that design. I added some bad photocopy texture. I was lucky enough to get to work on the Billabong Pipe Masters t-shirts. The Pipe Masters is the premier surf contest. It's kind of like the Super Bowl of surfing. I worked on this design with another designer at Billabong, and we used Brian Bielman's famous photo of Andy Irons. Here's a photo I took at Pipeline. If you want to get really good photos for your t-shirts, sometimes you just have to travel to the right locations. And Hawaii is probably one of the best places to get surfing photos. Here's a type design I did, added some texture and a little palm tree in the O. Any little hooks or tricks you can do to your type just to make it interesting, I think is a good thing. Here's kind of a Spanglish design I did for O'Neill. And this is a sketch for the update. And here's one more idea in that same realm. Party Wave. This design did really well for Billabong, and the thing about this design is they ended up updating it and updating it and updating it season after season. They made it into a women's shirt. First it was a men's shirt, then it ended up in board shorts, and then it ended up in store displays. And this design was around for a couple years, and I think the guys working on it at Billabong after me just really got sick of it. And then somebody knocked it off for Shaun White in Target, and that was the end of that idea. Shark attack, the man's attacking the shark instead of vice versa. So anytime you can sort of juxtapose things or flip things or just do something a little bit unexpected, I think that's a good thing. Uncle Sam throwing the Hawaiian Shaka sign. Here's a stack of red and white surfboards hand-drawn for a 4th of July American flag look. So I mentioned earlier one of my favorite things about t-shirt design is traveling for photo shoots and inspiration. But the other really fun thing is after you do these designs, you'll get strike-offs back from the printer, and it's almost like opening a birthday present. And unpackaging that design can be so much fun. So if you'd like to see that, be sure to enroll in my other class, the T-Shirt Design Workshop Part 2. One of my other favorite things about t-shirt design is actually spotting someone out in public wearing your design. The neat thing about that is it's a thrill, and it's also just nice to see that someone liked your design enough to go buy it and to put it on and wear it.